I made a video last week on 10 powerful weapons that no one seems to be using. These 10 weapons were basically off-meta weapons that a lot of people seem to enjoy. So in today's video, I'm going to be suggesting off-meta / not very popular guns that are actually extremely useful that you should definitely try in the game right now. As we can all agree, Destiny 2 is pretty dry right now with the new season just around the corner, but even then when that comes out, there won't be a whole lot of content to do. So this is the perfect video for you to try out some guns that you may have not used or you didn't even know existed. Starting the list off here with the pulse rifle Darkest Before. Now this is a rapid fire pulse rifle that drops from the Prophecy dungeon, and with the most recent updated loot table to all of these weapons, every weapon from the Prophecy has brand new perks that actually make these weapons extremely useful. Now this happened quite a while ago, and a lot of these weapons have been power crept, however they are still extremely good, and not to mention the Prophecy dungeon is by far the easiest dungeon in this entire game to do. You can even do it solo, making these guns extremely easy to farm. Now there's some pretty good perk rolls that you can run on the Darkest Before, however my personal favorite, and probably everyone's personal favorite, I know a lot of people talk about this, but you can't argue with these two perks. Heal Clip and Incandescent on a solar pulse rifle is incredible. I'm sorry, but these two perks are just way too good to not put on every gun that you own. Now the final thing I need to mention about this gun that makes it even better is its origin trait Crossing Over. For the top half of this magazine, this weapon will receive bonus ranged and handling for that top half of the magazine. Now, once you cross over and drop into the bottom half of the magazine, this weapon will actually deal increased damage. Now, from community research, this basically grants about a 1.5% damage boost for the first few shots, and then it will scale all the way up to a 3% damage increase once you've reached the last couple bullets in the magazine. Now, overall, this isn't a massive DPS boost, but hey, it's better than nothing, and it's a solid origin trait. Moving on here to number 2, I have chosen the Forerunner, the only special sidearm weapon in the entire game. Now the Forerunner has definitely been a PvP heavy weapon, however this weapon is actually extremely useful and extremely fun to use inside of PvE. Now roughly about a year ago in one of the hotfixes, all sidearms received a 20% damage boost and the Forerunner was included in this. Now this 20% damage boost was only towards red bar enemies, so this makes this weapon a one-shotting machine in the game. Pretty much any red bar enemy in the entire game, the Forerunner will one-tap. Also built into this weapon's exotic trait, this weapon will deal increased precision damage to any unshielded targets. This thing also has pretty much zero recoil, so you can run around and hip fire and kill everything, or you can quickly zoom in and just one-tap any red bar enemy in the game. This weapon is extremely fun, and if you haven't given it a go yet, I definitely recommend you do. Now, if you also snag the exotic catalyst for this gun, it allows you to throw a grenade built into the gun after you kill an enemy. Now, this grenade actually does quite a bit of damage, but it will cost you 4 ammo from the gun. However, the grenade is extremely useful if there is a ad pack. Not to mention, this grenade does count for any mods that you may have that require, grenade kills, as it is a grenade. Another notable mention, if you are running the Heart of Inmost Light exotic perk, this grenade will count towards that as an ability, and it will also count towards the Verity Brow, the Warlock exotic. So you can try a couple things with this gun. It is very useful, and I definitely recommend giving it a go. Moving on here into weapon number 3, I have chosen the Python, which you can buy from the legacy content in the tower from the Monument to Lost Light machine. Now the Python is a void shotgun that hits extremely hard and has one of the most unique perks in the entire game. This is called Shield Disorient. Basically, what this perk does is anytime you break a combatant shield that matches the weapon, so any enemies that have a void shield, it will actually disorientate any enemies around them. So instead of having to run a blinding grenade launcher that a lot of people do in certain content, if there are void shields in that activity, you can actually use the Python, which will damage enemies, but it will also blind them at the same time. I've had a lot of fun with this gun, it hits very hard, and overall this gun is actually extremely easy to use and very fun, and I definitely recommend giving it a go. Next on the list, I have chosen the Nation of Beasts hand cannon that dropped from the Last Wish raid. Now this is a raid weapon, so please don't flame me in the comments. This weapon is extremely useful and I don't see many people using it, and it is definitely off meta, but it is so good that it is way too hard to leave off this list. Now this weapon can run a very unique perk combination, being Dragonfly and Volt Shot combined. Now because this is an arc hand cannon as well, all of your Dragonfly explosions will cause arc damage, and then obviously the Volt Shot will also cause more arc damage. So if you're ever doing an activity where arc damage is boosted, chucking on a Nation of Beasts will absolutely shred every enemy in the game because of all of the arc damage this weapon does. This weapon is extremely satisfying to use from all the explosions and chain lightning going on, and not to mention, it looks awesome. This is by far one of my favorite hand cannons in the game, and if you haven't done the Last Wish, or if you haven't got this one crafted, I recommend you at least try and get in there and get this one crafted if you have some time, as it is very fun and extremely useful in any Ark scenarios. Just look at the footage you're seeing. So many explosions, so many chain lightnings. This weapon is extremely fun. Jumping over here into the next weapon, I have chosen the Chain of Command machine gun, which you can also buy from the legacy content from the Monument to Lost Light in the tower. Now again, this weapon has a very unique perk combination that I've chosen for very specific reasons. In the first column, you can run Osmosis. Now a lot of Guardians do not run Osmosis, but it can be actually extremely useful. Basically, how this weapon works. Whenever you throw your grenade, it's going to reload that gun up to 50% of its magazine. On top of this refilling of the magazine, whatever element your grenade ability was, it will actually change the weapon's damage to match that grenade. So if you throw a solar grenade, it's going to turn into solar. If you throw a void grenade, it's going to turn to void. You get the idea. Now this weapon is stasis by base magazine, so you can have a stasis gun, and then whatever grenade ability you have, you can then also have that element with it as well. So this gun can actually have two elements in one gun. Now in the second column, we are going to run Demolitionist. Now as we all know, getting kills with this gun and Demolitionist is going to refund our grenade energy. So the gameplay loop is very simple. We throw a grenade, it's going to reload our gun. We then kill enemies, it's going to refresh the grenade, we can then throw a grenade again, meaning that we can then reload our gun again. And you just keep chaining this over and over and over again. And also on top of this, whenever you need to switch your elements, you can change your grenade and do so. This gun is pretty useful and it's quite fun to use if you haven't tried it out already. Moving on here up to the next weapon, I have chosen the Better Devils, which is extremely easy to obtain from Lord Shaxx in the tower. Just spend some engrams and you can focus farm it. Now with the Better Devils being a 140 rounds per minute hand cannon, this means this weapon hits like an absolute truck. Starting off with a base impact of 84, and with the ability to get some damage boosting perks on it as well, this weapon is absolutely insane. Now this weapon has probably the most perks available on the gun to actually obtain, and with the final shape coming out, this weapon has actually changed to a strand weapon, meaning you can get some pretty good perks on it. There's so many perks, it's very hard to pick an actual god roll, so you can choose for your own. In the first column, you have some amazing perks like Reconstruction, Rapid Hit, Slice, and even Demolitionist. Now in the second column, you also have a wide variety of amazing perks to use. You can run One for All, you can run Kill Clip, Explosive Payload, Hatchling, Frenzy, Deconstruct, Elemental Capacitor, Adrenaline Junkie. There's so many different things that you can do that work very well together. In my personal opinion, one of the best rolls that you can get on this gun is Reconstruction and Explosive Payload. Reconstruction will double the magazine up to 20 without you even noticing, while Explosive Payload will pretty much just give you a flat 30% damage boost inside of PvE content. Another great perk that you can run is Adrenaline Junkie. After getting 5 kills, you will get a 33.3% damage boost, also very useful. Overall, the Better Devils is extremely easy to use and it is very smooth and one of my favorite guns to be using at the moment. And finally, to wrap this list up here, I have chosen one of my favorite guns to use at the moment that is completely slept on and that I also mentioned in my last video, and that is the Bad Juju Exotic Pulse Rifle. I genuinely can't understand or even figure out why people aren't deciding to use the Bad Juju. This weapon is absolutely insane and it helps every single subclass, every single prismatic build, whatever it is, every content, you can find a way to take advantage of the Bad Juju. Now what makes the Bad Juju so good that in my eyes makes it an S tier gun in the game, that is obviously its exotic perk String of Curses. Getting any kills with this gun will refill your magazine up to full. That is amazing, you never have to reload. This weapon will also increase in damage for a short duration after getting kills, stacking up to 5 stacks of String of Curses. Once you do reach 5 stacks of this String of Curses, the gun will have a base damage increase of 52%. On top of this, every kill you are getting with this gun, it's going to grant you super energy based on the number of stacks you have. So if you have 5 stacks, every time you get a kill, you're going to see your super bar chunk so heavily. If it's a very ad heavy environment, you can be popping your supers every 30 seconds all the way up to a minute, depending on how many kills and how often you can chain and keep up your String of Curses. This weapon is extremely useful and I definitely recommend you Guardians give it a go if you haven't. If you've been sleeping on the bad juju, you should wake up a little bit and start using this weapon. But anyway, Guardians, there is some of my favorite off-meta / not very popular guns that a lot of Guardians aren't using for some reason. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like, comment, subscribe down below, and let me know what your favorite off-meta gun is in the comments, and I'll give it a go. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.